Millions of people want a Rolex. Most could not explain how a mechanical watch actually works. They have no interest in movements and no opinion on complications. Yet the desire is intense, almost automatic. That contradiction is not a flaw in the market. It is the market. And it was carefully engineered starting over a century ago by a man who understood that the real product was never the watch. In 1905, Hans Wilsdorf set his sights on something most watchmakers ignored, a name that would travel anywhere. He chose Rolex because it was short, easy to say, and fit cleanly on a dial. There was no family crest, no centuries-old legacy, just a vision. Build a watch so reliable, so instantly recognizable, that it would become its own credential. By 1910, Rolex had secured the first wristwatch chronometer certificate, a technical milestone that whispered credibility to a skeptical market. But it was the 1926 Oyster case, a waterproof shell that was patented and promoted with a swimmer crossing the English Channel, that planted the idea of durability in the public mind. 5 years later, in 1931, the self-winding perpetual rotor arrived, promising a watch that never needed winding. These inventions were not just technical tricks, they were marketing tools, each one a step toward making the watch a symbol rather than a gadget. For decades, Rolex built its reputation on these foundations. But the leap from expert respect to cultural phenomenon did not come from a lab or a boardroom. It came from a single auction. In 2017, Paul Newman's personal Rolex Daytona sold at Phillips for $17.75 million. That figure stunned even seasoned collectors. Suddenly, a Rolex was not just a durable accessory. It was an investment, a headline, a piece of modern mythology. An auction specialist later called it the moment Rolex crossed over and said the story became bigger than the watch. What started as a quest for technical recognition had become something else entirely. A ticket to a club where the rules are written in stories, not specifications. A handshake in a boardroom tells a story long before anyone speaks. The junior executive, new suit crisp, reaches across the table. As his sleeve slides back, a gold crown glints above the dial. 5 points with rounded tips, a symbol instantly recognized from Sydney to Toronto. No one in the room asks about water resistance or movement. They don't need to. The crown does the talking. In that flash, the watch becomes a credential, a shortcut to legitimacy, a silent answer to the question, "Do you belong here?" Rolex designed this effect with precision. The crown first appeared on dials in 1925, and by 1931 it was locked in as a trademark. It's not just a logo, it's a visual password. The 5-pointed coronet, always above the word mark, stands out even in a sea of luxury. Some say the crown's 5 tips echo the fingers of a hand, a nod to the human work behind every watch. But in practice, it's simpler than that. The crown signals unity, perfection, and most importantly, success. The visual grammar runs deep. The crown at 12 o'clock, the green Rolex word mark, and the familiar silhouettes of models like the Submariner or Date just form a code that anyone can read. Even people who can't tell quartz from mechanical know what that crown means. In a world crowded with signals, Rolex has mastered the art of being instantly, universally legible. The wearer doesn't have to say a word. The message is already out there. I've made it. You don't need to understand watches to understand that. A manager walks into a meeting, sleeve pulled just high enough for the gold crown to catch the light. No one asks what model it is or how it works. They don't need to. The watch itself becomes a silent credential, an unspoken permission slip that says you belong. In most offices, you don't have to defend Rolex. You don't have to explain why you bought it or what it does. Its meaning is already baked into the culture. The logic is simple. If you're wearing a Rolex, you must have earned it somehow. That assumption smooths the path for promotions, negotiations, and first impressions. Colleagues and clients read the signal instantly, even if they couldn't spot a fake or name a single reference number. The watch operates like a workplace heuristic, a shortcut that lets others skip the usual vetting. The manager doesn't have to justify their place at the table. The crown does it for them. In a world where credibility is often questioned, a Rolex on the wrist is one of the few objects that can silence doubt before it's spoken. Red carpets, press conferences, sideline interviews, and podcast studios. Everywhere you look, the same gold crown flashes from the wrists of people at the center of attention. A tennis champion hoists a trophy, a tech founder leans into a microphone, a pop star waves to fans, and in each frame, the Rolex is unmistakable. This isn't a coincidence or a one-off endorsement. It's a pattern, repeated so often that it starts to feel like a rule. When someone has made it, the crown appears. The effect is self-reinforcing. Media outlets capture the moment, social feeds multiply it, and soon the image is everywhere. On magazine covers, in highlight reels, on Instagram stories. Fans and followers see their heroes wear the same watch again and again, and the meaning sinks in. Psychologists call this a visibility loop, a kind of social proof cascade. The more a symbol is seen on successful people, the more it becomes the definition of success itself. Over time, this loop doesn't just influence what people want, it rewires what they think achievement looks like. The crown becomes a shortcut, a visual script that tells everyone what winning is supposed to look like. No explanation needed. A tech founder stands outside a boutique, contract freshly signed, bank account transformed overnight. He doesn't buy a new car or book a trip. He walks straight in and asks for a submariner. The decision is almost automatic. No time spent comparing features, no deep dive into the movement. For him, the Rolex is a receipt for the years spent grinding, the missed birthdays, the risk that finally paid off. The watch isn't about telling time. It's about telling a story. I crossed a line, and this is how I know it's real. Psychologists call this the milestone effect. The object becomes a marker, a way to freeze an emotional high and make it visible. In signaling theory, this is a costly badge, something hard to fake, easy to recognize, and understood by everyone in the room. The founder could have chosen anything, but he picks the one object that broadcasts his new status without a word. The ritual is so common that it barely raises an eyebrow, yet it's loaded with meaning. The Rolex isn't just a souvenir, it's proof that the journey happened, that the risk was worth it, and that from this day forward, the world will see him differently. Walk into any luxury boutique and watch what happens when someone asks for a Rolex. There is no spreadsheet, no debate about tourbillons or case metals. The decision feels strangely frictionless, almost like picking the default option from a menu. One boutique dealer puts it this way: people come in nervous, but once they see the crown, they relax. They know what they are getting. That comfort is not just about reputation. It is about numbers. On the secondary market, a steel submariner or date just routinely sells for 30 to 45% above retail. That kind of premium is not common in luxury. Most designer bags or high-end cars lose value the moment you walk out the door. But with Rolex, buyers see the watch as a portable asset, a status symbol that is also a near-liquid investment. Even those who cannot name the model know they can resell it tomorrow for more than they paid. The result is a purchase that feels less like a gamble and more like a smart move. The complexity of the product fades into the background. All that matters is the signal, and the safety net is hiding in plain sight. The first time the clasp clicks shut, something changes. The world does not need to notice. The feeling is all internal. Psychologists call it ownership as self-extension, when an object starts to blur with identity, not just appearance. For many, the Rolex is not about showing off. It is about a private sense of arrival, a quiet confirmation that the journey has led somewhere real. One owner put it simply, "I don't need to show it. I feel it." There is a strange power in that. The watch becomes a kind of anchor, a daily reminder that you kept a promise to yourself, even if no one else knows the story. It is not about the crown on the dial or the shimmer of steel under the light. It is about the quiet confidence that settles in, the sense that you have crossed some invisible threshold. The object on your wrist is now part of how you move through the world, a silent companion that shapes the way you stand, speak, and decide what comes next. This is the deepest lever in the chain, the part no advertisement can manufacture. Once the watch is yours, the signal stops being public and starts living inside you. The obsession, it turns out, is not about impressing others. It is about convincing yourself that you belong. In a world hungry for instant recognition, owning the right symbol can matter more than understanding it. The market rewards what's visible, not what's true. As status signals grow more subtle and more expensive, ask yourself, are you chasing value or chasing validation? Let me know what you think below.